like all of you, there's so much I want to do, and yet in this year, there's been so much talk about the dreaded sequel we've all been fearing, World War III. I got to tell you guys what I want to do, my goal is, myself and Daniel, to build our Studio 99 Perspectives and to build Hard Lens Media up, to be a presence here in Chicago. That's a beautiful, that's a good dream. And I see all of you in my viewing audience in your chats, some of your hopes and dreams to do better for your family, to really make something of yourselves. And, even see places around the world. Hell, I want to go back to Japan one day. I want to go see Japan one day. But there's so much I want to do. But yet I think we are all dreading and hating this talk of World War III. Because we got this war in Ukraine and we got this ongoing conflict in Gaza, which looks like it could be expanding all over the place. To Lebanon, Iran, possibly Turkey. Who knows? And I said this before, that this war in Gaza is laying the foundations for the next war. And I want to be wrong. Oh, I want to be wrong. I want all of you in the audience saying, geez, Kit, remember when you were so scared about World War III and ha, 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 what a joke. Well, the way everything's going, who's going to stop it? And we only got two contenders, really. You got on one hand, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. Who's going to stop World War III? Who's going to do it? Who will be our heavyweight champion? Who will be our mental gymnastic person who will do it? I want to be making fun of this story, but it's very clear that we've got politicians who are super hard for World War III. You got the military-industrial complex foaming at the mouth, and you got people constantly pushing other countries at the edge. Sooner or later, somebody's going to see that shiny red button and says, hey, what does this do? And then it's mushroom clouds in the sky. And folks, society won't rebuild itself. If there is to be remnants of humanity, we will be a shell of what we once used to be. And we will never get to this level of technology ever again. But hey, give a huge shout out to Case Study QB, because say it with me, folks, what could possibly go wrong with World War III right around the horizon? What could go wrong?
If we win, it'll be very simple. It's all going to work out and very quickly. If we don't, you're going to end up with major wars in the Middle East and maybe a third world war. You are closer to a third world war right now than at any time since the Second World War.
Matt, what does Donald Trump base that statement on? How all the wars are going to disappear if he's elected president?
I got to pause it here. I'll forever quote him on this when he did that CNN town hall. I just want people to stop dying. That was during the early days of the Republican primary. My goodness, he made Nikki, that's not her name, Haley, look like a foaming at the mouth warlord. Because Nikki wanted nothing but total war. Trump was like, I want people to stop dying. Whether or not he's successful in that is yet to be seen.
It's the same sort of puffery we see when suddenly democracy is going to end if he's reelected president. I think it's this kind of like overheated hyperbolic rhetoric. Look, I think he has.
Except he did try to overturn an election, but that's 4 years ago.
But democracy is really going to end if he's elected president. Come on, but
one of the rare moments on CNN. I hope all you caught that. Well, you think democracy is going to end if he gets reelected? No, it's not, because we don't have a democracy in the first place. All this talk. See, he gets it. One person on CNN might have a functioning brain. That should be breaking news. Hold on. You know what? If I'm doing this right, I'm going to have fun. Even before the nukes launch, screw that. Hey, Putin, Xi Jinping, and Kim Jong-un, put a pause on that. Breaking news. Somebody at CNN might have a working brain. Yeah, that's right. Hold on. Say that again, buddy.
Puffery we see when suddenly democracy is going to end if he's reelected president. I think it's this kind of like overheated hyperbolic rhetoric. Look, I think he has.
Except he did try to overturn an election, but that's 4 years ago.
But democracy is really going to end if he's elected president. Come on, but
come on, man. Listen. I know we're supposed to read a script, but come on, man. Come on, Jack. The war ain't gonna. Come on, democracy. Democracy going to end? No, because it never existed. You can't tell the people that.
I think the other thing is, I do think there's the fact that we are engaged in a lot of conflicts, and we're at the precipice of things. No matter who's president, what the world looks like is at a very dangerous point, whether it's the Middle East, China, and Taiwan. Like the next president's going to have to face a lot of crises, and obviously a lot of we don't know. And it's not unheard of that we're, engaged in maybe not a world war, hopefully not, but my gosh, some intense global conflicts next 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, this is the largest war in Europe still underway, largest war in Europe since World War II. I want to play, Elena, what both Harris and Trump said about a ceasefire deal in Israel, because despite their differences, when I listen to these two statements, they sound quite similar. Have a listen.
As I just told Prime Minister Netanyahu, it is time to get this deal done.
I played that video earlier, like last week, and she still is like Israel's right to defend itself. And right now, there's a lot of stuff happening in Israel, in Gaza. She ain't going to stop it.
So to everyone who has been calling for a ceasefire, and to everyone who yearns for peace, I see you and I hear you.
I want them to finish up and get it done quickly. You got to get it done quickly because they are getting decimated with this publicity. And, Israel is not very good at public relations, I'll tell you that. Israel, for whatever reason, you have Jewish people out there wearing yarmulkes, and they're, pro-Palestine. You've never seen anything. People have never seen anything like this. Their public relations are not good, and they've got to get this done fast.
Here, I'm going to break it down. Here's what's going on. First of all, Kamala, being the loyal politician that she is following orders so that, because let's face it, AIPAC is the lobby group. All of the politicians are owned. Everybody showed up to hear President Netanyahu, Prime Minister Netanyahu, President Netanyahu, the owner of the donors, speak to Congress. And what she's saying and what she wants is for there to be a negotiation done so that she can get the, gullible progressives to vote Democrat. If she could pull it off, that's a big win for her. And then there's Trump. Now, many people are saying, Trump's being, wants the war to stop. Yeah, he does, but not for peace. It's because, let's face it, if these wars were happening under Donald Trump, I know for a fact that the social justice warrior industrial complex would be out in mass protesting every day, all the time. And it's easy to vilify Trump. And Trump is one person above all else. He's a good showman. And he cannot sell Israel if it's doing all these war crimes, because both Democratic and Republican politicians, while they are owned and getting it up the wazoo by AIPAC, they all know that the death toll is rising up and up and up. And no amount of money going in their hip back pocket because again, you're going to see them squirm like, okay, hey, listen, AIPAC, listen, I know you're our babysitter, but we really can't sell this because the mountain of skulls is blocking the sun. That's what everybody's saying. This isn't about altruism. This isn't about peace. It's about they can't sell it. They can't sell it. No politician can sell it anymore. So who's going to stop World War III? Well, they just want the killing to stop for right now. Everybody go on pause, and then maybe a year or two down the road, all right, go back to shooting again. It's not about peace. It's about the lie of peace.
Fire deal, that's notable.
Maybe the motivations would seem to be a bit different based on what we just heard. But I also think that, so for Trump in particular, this does not feel especially new to me in terms of his posture toward foreign entanglements from the outset of his presidential campaign in 2016. What I think is interesting in following Vice President Harris right now that she's the nominee, she is in this really delicate position of trying to balance her loyalty to the Biden-Harris administration, the posture they've evinced, versus ways in which maybe she can stake out a bit more of an independent identity on this issue and hopefully bring back in some of those voters that Biden himself may have alienated.
So, Megan, and we heard some of that following the meeting where Harris focused more than you might have heard from Biden. Although Biden did criticize Israel for the number of civilian casualties, she pushed a little bit more in that direction, which a lot of Democrats do want to hear. It's a tough balance, though, to strike. So how is she going to manage that?
I think she can continue to push the envelope here and to get that balance. But I do think she is saying the same thing that the president was saying. She's actually saying the same thing Trump was saying. I think the tactics are just different and how they want to do it. But I don't think anyone in this country disagrees that we need to have a ceasefire and bring the rest of the hostages home. So I just
here's the thing. Netanyahu disagrees. And as I covered earlier this year, Netanyahu's saying this war could go up to 2025. So let's see. We're almost at the end of July. Hope all of you enjoyed this month. July was very good to me. Had a very nice 4th of July after all. You know, ate a good steak dinner and all that other good stuff. But then there's August, September, October, November. Merry Christmas, December. And then comes 2025. And oh my goodness. What if the war's still ongoing and that mountain of skulls now is blocking out the entire sky? Nobody wants peace. These politicians say they want it, but Netanyahu begs to differ because, after all, AIPAC, the donor group, is the one making sure that Congress shuts up. They tell Congress to shut up, shut up, shut up.
I don't think she's saying anything abnormal, but I do think she is able to go further because we are in a different spot politically than we were 3-4 weeks ago and what the president was going to say.
No question. Well, we'll continue to watch it. Thanks so much, guys. Come on.
Now, look, I'm only going to play just a few short minutes of this. It's a Middle East crisis. Because, of course, folks, heaven forbid that this war gets out of hand. Say it with me, folks. What could possibly go wrong?
Right now, there are fears in the Middle East of a potential escalation of the war after Israel carried out strikes inside Lebanon. That was in retaliation over an attack at a soccer field in the Israeli-controlled Golan Heights. That attack killed 12 people, 11 of which have been confirmed as children and teenagers. Israel accused Hezbollah, the Iranian-backed militia based out of Lebanon. It was the deadliest attack on Israeli civilians since the October 7th attacks. Now, this morning, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu visited the scene of the attack. Joining us now is NBC's Raf Sanchez, General Barry McCaffrey, retired four-star general and an NBC News military analyst, and Aaron David Miller, former Arab-Israeli negotiator at the State Department and a senior fellow at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. Raf, where do things stand right now?
Well, Jose, a lot of people across the Middle East are holding their breath right now and waiting to see what Israel's response to this attack looks like. As you mentioned, there are 12 children dead here. This is, according to Israel, the deadliest attack on its civilians since October 7th. It is by far the most serious Hezbollah strike in the 9.5 months that Israel and the Iranian-backed militants have been fighting over the northern border. Prime Minister Netanyahu has said, given the scale of this attack, Israel's response will be unprecedented. The Security Cabinet met last night in Tel Aviv. They authorized the Prime Minister to respond at a time, place, and manner of his choosing. Now, we don't know exactly what that will look like yet, but one of the big questions here is, will Netanyahu give the order to the Israeli military to strike Beirut, the capital of Lebanon? That is something.
Say it with me. What could possibly go wrong? Now, this video is 8 minutes long. Perhaps we'll play it for another segment, but the whole idea of the conflict expanding. First, Gaza and West Bank. Then there's talk about strikes in Iran, strikes in Lebanon, strikes in Syria. Hell, they even talked about, because they didn't like how Erdogan from Turkey was talking about, hey, someone needs to stop what's happening in Gaza. All what this war did, all what Netanyahu did, he didn't save Israel. He laid down the foundations for the next war. And who's going to stop it? The United States? That's impossible. They're owned by AIPAC. And these politicians of ours know one thing. They know not to upset the donor. They don't care about the voter. Why would they bite the hand that feeds them? Because the voter doesn't feed them. The donor does. But they know they're having a hard time selling it. They know they can't really convince people. Because here's the thing. Our entire political system is a very interesting little project. And they can't sell it for too much longer if the people realize, hey, I'm part of this system and it ain't even doing jack for me. And I want them to stop certain things and they're not doing it. And if overall the vast majority of the U.S. population is saying, hey, let's do a ceasefire, let's stop these endless wars, let's not have the sequel we've all been dreading, but yet if it falls upon deaf ears, who can stop it? Kamala? Trump? RFK Jr.? The people who can really stop it right now is us. It always has been us. The politicians are not the knights on the hill to save the day. They're just there. They're watching from their ivory towers. They're looking down at the rest of us while we all panic. Well, we're better than that. And that means we have the arduous task of actually building real movements for change. We cannot be tricked by these jagoffs any longer because they see the war on the horizon and they're doing nothing to stop it. That's not weird. That's evil.